you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. This is Brian Smith, your host. And usually we have Kerry Smith with us, but he is on hiatus as we speak right now, hoping that he'll return soon, quickly, and safe. Believe he'll be back next week to help with the show. Today is March 29th, 2015. It's Sunday evening, and we are broadcasting a little early Sunday. Normally we go on at 5 o'clock, but tonight we're on at 4, a little bit after. I had some technical difficulties, didn't we, Mr. Producer? But we've worked that out, and we're fired up and ready to go. We're locked and loaded to make it all happen. Smith Radio, we're here to give you all the breaking news of the last week, stuff the media didn't cover, things that you should hear, things that you may need to know, and to clarify some of the things they told you that, probably weren't true.
What difference at this point does it make?
So sorry, Hillary. At this point, it makes a lot of difference. That's why we're doing this. So, when you go back to work next week, or when you get on with your life starting Monday morning, you will be fully informed on all the events that are upcoming and everything that happened last week. So to hit this off, and my show prep in my notes, I can't seem to find the Hillary Gate. So we're going to start off with that and unload on Hillary just for a moment.
What difference at this point does it make?
Well, it does, because you're running for president. Whether you say you are or not, I know you've got your own way of coming out of the closet, if you will, and letting everybody know that you're running for president, and we all know you are. Well, according to news that's leaked, according to information that's come out, apparently Trey Gowdy, who you all know, good friend of ours here on the show, we like him a lot because he's a straight shooter, says what's on his mind, and he's right almost every single time. I've never known him to not be right. He was tapped to head up the Benghazi Gate, and at first glance, Kerry and I were a little upset about that because we believed his talents and his aggressive pit bull type way of doing things should have been directed toward the IRS scandal, which is above and beyond anything that any president that we have ever had has ever done. I mean, this president has gone above and beyond breaking laws and rules and mending laws and changing laws and changing rules. It's just unbelievable, the criminal acts that this president has committed and gotten away with. It's not unbelievable that he's committed criminal acts, because that's what communists do. That's what liberals do. Progressives, they do that. Democrats, they do that. If they didn't lie, cheat, or steal by hook or by crook, you wouldn't vote for them. And neither would I. Well, I don't. I know who they are. And if you listen to the show long enough, you'll know who they are. And as soon as you understand who they are, you'll be able to spot them from a mile away. Especially when they open their mouth and they tell you who they are. It's unbelievable. So, we believe that Trey Gowdy should have been the lead on the IRS scandal. Forget about Hillary. She's chopped liver. Don't get me wrong. We're very passionate here about Benghazi. We're very passionate about Christopher Stevens, the way that he was raped and murdered in Benghazi, in connection with gun running, arms trade, the administration given the Muslim Brotherhood, the Muslims, the criminal element in the Middle East, giving them millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of American weapons, military units, whether it be vehicles, tanks, all that stuff. is running through Benghazi, and a lot of reports speculate that Christopher Stevens either was in a bad situation that went worse, or Christopher Stevens was tapped to be killed because he knew too much and he was going to come out about it. So, with that being said, I really wish that Trey Gowdy would have been on the IRS scandal. However, wherever they put him, he does his job. And now it's come to light. We talked about this last week with Hillary and her having a personal server. And when I say server, I don't mean a maid. I mean an actual computer server at her home. Folks, you don't normally have a computer server at your home. You have your computer, your hard drive, and you're connected to the internet. That internet goes, out in the ether. If you have an email account through Google, Google has the server. Your stuff is on Google's server. That's why you go on the internet to get it. And if you use the Microsoft platform to get your email and it's on your desktop, well, when you open that icon up, you have to wait for all the emails to download because they're on another server. They're not on your computer. They're on a server out there. So Hillary had her server with a private personal email account, probably multiple email accounts, and she was emailing the President of the United States back and forth, which makes him complicit in all of this, because when you receive an email from somebody, you know where that's from. If you get an email from Brian at smith.info, well, you know it's because I've purchased that email, smith.info. I've created that. And that server is held with GoDaddy. That's just what it is. That's who sold it to me. That's who set it all up. If you have a Yahoo account, when you send me an email, I see your name, Joe Blow at yahoo.com. That's who you're from. So she's emailing all government officials. She's emailing all kinds of whether they be politicians, dignitaries, other countries, all over the world, and everybody knows that Hillary Clinton is using her own personal email account. And they don't know whether the server's at her house or not, but they know that it is a personal email account. With that being said, during Benghazi Gate, if you will, during the explosion of Benghazi, Hillary at one point in time they claimed she slipped and fell and hit her head and then was rushed to the hospital and then recovering, so she couldn't testify in front of Congress. She then had left her post as Secretary of State. I mean, it was an ordeal to get this woman in front of Congress to testify about what went down in Benghazi. Was it because of a handful of guys out for a walk one night that wanted to kill some Americans, or was some protesters? And then when she did get in front of Congress,
what difference at this point does it make?
That was what she had to say to our Congress. That they're trying to put the pieces together. We've got a dead Christopher Stevens, our ambassador, was murdered on the grounds, and that plot of land. I'm trying to say this right so you can clearly understand. That plot of land where the building is, the embassy, where that building is, that grass that's perimetered off, that marking is American soil. We didn't pick up soil from America and take it there. That is as if you were on American soil. So if you've ever seen a movie and where somebody runs and they're being chased and they get to the American embassy and the American military personnel allow them to cross the gate into onto the grass on the other side inside the embassy, They are 100% completely protected and connected to America as if they were standing in America on American soil. So when our embassy was attacked, they literally attacked America and American soil by killing American personnel. Also killed American snipers, some of the servicemen that were told to stand down. Don't go help, stand down. She knew about all of this going on, when it was going on in real time. All the things that we've been talking about throughout the years, all of this was real. But she had all the information at her hands. And Obama said at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going to go ahead and take off. You guys do what you need to do. And he left. And even to this day, nobody knows where the President of the United States was throughout the middle of the night, of this night. So like Hillary said back when she was running against Obama, who do you want answering that phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, apparently you don't want Obama answering that phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning because he might not even know where he is. And you don't want Hillary answering that phone call at 3 in the morning because she's going to lie, cheat, and steal by hook or by crook, do whatever she needs to get done to spin it, to make it look the best on her. It's just how they roll, how the Clintons roll. So, at this point in time, back after Benghazi went down, Trey Gowdy was headed up to investigate the Benghazi Gate, if you will, to get to the bottom of it, find out what really happened. And during the investigation, they subpoenaed records. Because Trey Gowdy is a former prosecuting attorney. And he heads this up as if he's a lawyer, gathering the facts, all the data, to puzzle piece this scenario in the past together to explain what had happened. So he subpoenaed the records, and he subpoenaed email accounts and subpoenaed email from different personnel. They tried to get all the information together so they could sift through it and find out what was going on. Well, Hillary's email account and all her email, whether it was personal or not personal, it doesn't matter because she intermingled her personal with business. Okay, so it has now become one and the same. If you have an email account at your job, say you work for Walmart, and you have John at Walmart.com, that's your email address, and you use it for work, for on the job. And you kind of get a little careless, and you email me, you email some friends through using your work account, and you're like, yeah, it's easier to do it this way. I'll be honest with you, it is. I had done it in the past, but you gotta keep that separate. Well, Walmart owns all your email addresses because they're all on their server. And I know they're personal, but you allowed them to become public, one, because you left them on Walmart server, but two, because you used your business account to email. So for Hillary to think that she can separate her email account by business and by personal based on her criteria or her ideology, whatever her idea of business and of personal is, and if there's an email that is talking personal and then it slips business and then goes back to personal, does that count or does that not count? Which pile does that one fall into? Yeah, I mean think about it. The complexity of this whole thing, the mess that she has created and caused, it's just gotten monumental. I mean, the Clintons are known for really bad stuff. I mean, really bad stuff. Matter of fact, there's a video I came across today where a guy was talking about how he used to work for the Clintons, and he would set up assassinations or set up hits and do all kinds of things back in the day when he worked for the Clintons. I mean, these are just some really ruthless, bad people. I mean, Hillary, make no bones about it, when she was just a young, innocent schoolgirl in college, met Saul Alinsky, the communist propagandist, if there ever was one, next to Karl Marx. I mean, Karl Marx wrote it. Saul Alinsky pushed it, trying to implement it, trying to get it into the fabric of American society, trying to steal from all the people and create one single class, like a monarchy, if you will. But a monarchy would be completely different. But if you would take like an oligarchy, that's where you've got just a handful of people at the top and everybody else is at the bottom. I mean, nepotism at its worst. Your friends of your friends are the only ones that ever get a job, that get to work. And you all stay richer than rich, wealthier than wealth, while everybody else, it's just, well, they all suffer. And you could care less because that's, best. You know better than they do. They may spend their money the wrong way, and you know how they if they had a whole bunch of money, they'd spend it wrong. And they would. And the reason why they would is because you actually do, and you're projecting upon them. So that's your excuse. So anyways, during this time, Trey Gowdy and the investigations going on with Benghazi, Hillary Clinton's email address and all her paperwork, all the information was subpoenaed. Well, where did it all go? If your records have been subpoenaed and you've deleted, erased, burned, or ruined those records, now we've got a problem. Now we've got a big, big problem because you've now tampered with evidence, if you will. You've now violated the law by removing, if you will, evidence. Think about that. Say you were involved in a court case and you literally decided to go ahead and take out evidence that you think they don't need. See what happens. See what happens. See if they don't take you to court. See if you don't come under fire. See if you don't go to jail. I mean, you can't do that stuff. And again, not people, but the ones that love Hillary, the ones that love her the most and are sycophants or just idolize or worship her, they're going to say, oh, Brian, that's just crazy. That's nut job thinking. No, it's not, because what is real is that she removed documents, paperwork, that we couldn't see it. I mean, there's other subpoenas that have been issued to Obama's, like the head chief of the EPA, caught a huge violation of federal law. I mean, subpoena was issued to her, and she skirted that as well. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And here it is. This is the latest from ProPublica.org. Private emails reveal ex-Clinton aide secret spy network. Yes. This story was published by Gawker. And if you will, it says, emails disclosed by a hacker show a close family friend was funneling intelligence about the crisis in Libya directly to the Secretary of State's private account starting before the Benghazi attack. Hello? This was just updated March 27th, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. It started weeks before Islamic militants attacked the U.S. diplomatic outpost in Benghazi, Libya. Longtime Clinton family confidant Sidney Blumenthal supplied intelligence to then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, gathered by a secret network that included a former CIA clandestine service officer, according to hacked emails from Blumenthal's account. The emails, which were posted on the internet in 2013, also show that Blumenthal and other close Clinton associates discussed contracting with a retired Army Special Operations commander to put operatives on the ground near the Libya-Tunisia border while Libya's civil war raged in 2011. Folks, this just goes on and on and on. Let's see. And memos cover a wide array of subjects in extreme detail, from German Prime Minister Angela Merkel's conversations with her finance minister about French President Hollande. Marked, "This information comes from an extremely sensitive source," to the composition of newly elected South Korean president transition team. At least 10 of the memos deal in whole or part with internal Libyan politics and the government's fight against militants, including the status of the Libyan oil industry and the prospects for Western companies to participate. This is the crime of it all, is because a bunch of things were going out. One, Obama was in the waning weeks of his re-election. So, yeah, you had to keep this quiet, otherwise he wouldn't have gotten re-elected. And two, if the truth were to come out about Benghazi, these people would be going to jail, be going to prison. We've got dead Americans here. 4 dead Americans. 10 people injured. U.S. intelligence officials didn't have advanced knowledge of the threat. What? Are you kidding me? On September 12th, the day after the Benghazi attack, Blumenthal sent a memo that cited a sensitive source saying that the interim Libyan president, Mohammed Youssef, was told by senior security officers that the assault was inspired by an anti-Muslim video made in the U.S., as well as allegations political opponents that he had CIA ties. Well, there you go. There's where that video surfed. If this is true, how do you know what is true and what isn't true? These people are lying left and right. But I'm probably going to more side with the fact that they have an answer where this video montage came from. This whole thing about it was a video, and the Muslims were upset about the video, and that's why they attacked the embassy. Well, the day after the attack, apparently, Libyan president got word back to Hillary. And Hillary said, hey, this is what we'll say happened. We'll cover all of our bases, and we'll go from there. Folks, this doesn't end pretty. I don't know what, if any, chance there will ever be that she'll, see bars, get behind bars. Probably not. It's just, it would be nice to see the Clintons get their just dessert. Look at what, from everything from what Bill's been doing, literally a pedophile, a serial pedophile on parade, being able to do whatever he wants to, Hillary running around trying to act like she knows what she's doing, while at the same time trying to install communism to help the overthrow of America. This right here from dailymail.uk. Now Hillary Clinton is accused of deleting all her emails from her private server while under subpoena. Republican Chair Benghazi committee level allegations on Friday. This is from Trey Gowdy. He claims Hillary has not produced any new documents and refused to let a third party review her server. It is the latest in a series of allegations hammering Clinton's reputation. She has come under fire for keeping a private, unsecure email system. Clinton's attorney says the State Department has all the emails sent or received. Democrats have slammed the new claim as a political charade. Of course they do. Of course they slam this as a political charade. I mean, how else do you sweep this one under the carpet? I mean, this is the worst of the worst, if you ask me. So, anyways, that bad things are going on all around the world, and at the same time, we have bad people running the country. And the way that they continue to run the country is to keep people stupid. How do you keep people stupid? Ruin the public education system and allow the kids to grow up stupid. Become a president that's all about pop culture and seems to care and is always fighting a cause. I'm fighting the next cause. We're fighting for the next cause. And and then you have...
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
And then we have politicians like that. Pass the bill so you can find out what is in it. Right. Well, from that is breaking news this week. That was all over earlier this week and sporadically through the week about Hillary Gate. You know, we played a couple of weeks ago a Saturday Night Live skit on Hillary where it just lambasted her and just skewered her and made her look so creepy, the creep that she is. And Kerry made the comment that this is it, she's done, it's going to ruin her. Well, I don't know who's after her. I don't know if it's the Obama administration that's after her. I don't know if she's just made some really, really bad enemies. But there is nothing going good for her whatsoever. And not only is nothing going good for her, there's also nothing really going good for Obama. This week, well, let me preface this. Let me set this up. Last year in June, if you remember, there was a reported, all of a sudden, had to be done transaction. We had heard from the administration, from Obama, that there was an army guy over in the Middle East that was being held captive by the Taliban, by the Muslim Taliban. And he'd been held captive for a long, long time, couple years. So long that the military had actually reported him as, well, first they had listed him as a deserter, and then they listed him as status unknown. That's how bad it was. So, according to Obama, he and his administration devised a swap. One Taliban for one Army sergeant. Or Army, I don't think it was a sergeant. But Army, enlisted Army men. So, no. Of course, that would make sense. One swap for one swap. No! Obama gave them five Taliban from Gitmo. 5 of the worst of the worst. It was the dream team. 5 of them. For an Army personnel that was missing for a couple of years. We didn't know where he was. Well, when you make a swap like this for one soldier for anything, and you're making a deal with the devil, you're making a trade. We don't negotiate with terrorists, but apparently Obama does. When you're making this trade, apparently you have to notify Congress within 30 days of the trade. Well, Obama said they didn't have 30 days, and his life was, we feared for his life, and he was going to die, so we had to do this right away. We had no choice but to do this immediately, and then the news media outlets tried to shape the narrative, if you will. Had Susan Rice, who was the original person during Benghazi to come out and did the talk shows on Sunday night to tell everybody that it was an internet video that set off Benghazi. So Susan Rice did such a good job with that lie that she got promoted. So now this comes out with Bo Bergdahl, and Susan Rice went on the talk shows back a year ago in June and said this.
Sergeant Bergdahl wasn't simply a hostage. He was an American prisoner of war, captured on the battlefield. He served the United States with honor and distinction.
Okay, she said that he was an American POW, prisoner of war. She also said that he was captured on the battlefield. So he's a prisoner of war, captured on the battlefield, served with distinction and honor. So there's 4 statements she made there. First off, he was a POW. Well, reports come out, and guys that he served with, other soldiers he served with, even his platoon leader, also, they all confirm that he got up and left. Bergdahl escaped, not escaped, but got up and walked off base and didn't come back. So, no, he wasn't in a battle on the battlefield. Okay. Secondly, there is current video footage of Bo Bergdahl hanging out with Muslim Taliban, holding firearms, weapons, sitting in a car, not being locked up. I'm just on and on and on and on. So Susan Rice called him a POW, prisoner of war. Okay, that's false. That never, ever was true. So he wasn't a prisoner of war. Okay, secondly, she made the statement that he served with distinction and honor. Distinction and honor, he deserted the military, so that's not honorable, and that's not distinction. Not only that, but he also may be implicated in giving, aiding, and abetting the enemy and informing the enemy of where certain military outposts were, so that the Taliban could start launching rockets and actually hitting American troops and killing troops. There's now six soldiers that we believe, and there's probably a lot more, but there's 6 soldiers at least, minimum, that we believe that have died in the search for him or involved in something having to do with him. So this happened a year ago. So Obama made the trade, made it happen, and then all of a sudden, emails come out that, or not emails, but his notes, Bo Bergdahl's notes come out. He wrote a letter back to his parents. And in the letter, he says, "I'm ashamed to be an American," quote unquote. "The horror of America is disgusting." That's what he said. He wrote those in his letter. So, where do we start with this? Well, let's go to some sound clips. I've got... Oh, Mr. Producer, where are we? Let's shoot for... Oh, of course. Audio number 1. Where we've got Eric Bolling sitting in for Bill O'Reilly, and he has Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters, retired, as well as Colonel David Hunt, retired, on his show, and he's talking to them directly about this situation. And the first question, or the first statement, is is that Eric Bolin comes out and says that Bo Bergdahl is now facing life in prison for endangering the life of servicemen and up to 5 years for desertion. Bo Bergdahl's father also spoke at the Rose Garden last year at the White House, and which was just an embarrassment, and spoke in the native tongue of the Taliban to the Taliban. We'll get to that in a minute. But first off, Eric Bolin says to Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters, statement kind of question, follow-up. They're already starting to spin this. They're saying he's done his time. This is the local media starting to spin the whole bird dog thing. He deserted his post and he left lives at risk. Your response, Peters?
He definitely, his desertion led to far more American deaths and wounding than you've heard so far, Eric, and I can explain that later. But what I want to hit on is what my military buddies and I are furious about, and that is this instant campaign on the part of talking heads, the media, and certainly the American left to protect the White House and declare that poor little Bo has suffered enough. Listen, Bo Bergdahl came home. He's in good health. He's got 4 limbs. He's got 10 toes. He's got 10 fingers. He's functional on a day-to-day basis. Where is the left sympathy? Where is the media's sympathy for the soldiers that didn't come home, for their families? Where is their sympathy for those soldiers and Marines, Navy corpsmen who suffered burns all over their bodies, faced years of pain, lifetime disfigurement? Where is the sympathy for all those who suffered wounds, grievous wounds, and permanent disabilities, some of them searching for Bo Bergdahl? Where is the sympathy for those guys? I don't feel the love.
No! No, there is no love. First and foremost, the media hates the military. They've got some kind of anger issue towards the military, not understanding that it is the military that protects them and allows them to be as stupid as they want to be and say the most heinous and horrible things that they want to say. Colonel Peters puts it like it is and just lays it out. Amazing. So the follow-up on that, Eric Bolin looks and says to Colonel David Hunt, he says, we just put up a picture of 6 servicemen who may have died in the search for Bo Bergdahl. And is there any defense for Bo Bergdahl?
No, and there's no defense for the way this has been handled. There was an investigation called the 15-6 done in 2009 in which the United States Army in Afghanistan said deserter. Bergdahl was deserter. That was changed to a non-existing phrase called duty status unknown. Then we trade him for 5 terrorists, and then we do another 15-6 by a 2-star general, and a 4-star general decides to take 6 months to decide. This is an embarrassment. I understand the politics of this. I understand the president, all the mistakes in trading for terrorists. But I don't want we should not skip over the complicity of the Department of Defense and the Department of the Army and this embarrassing thing. 99% of the soldiers serve honorably, as Ralph just described eloquently. And we have deserters. This is one of them. But the Army did not handle this thing well at all.
No, of course they didn't handle it well at all. And I'm ashamed that we have somebody in power running the most powerful country in the world that is so insanely illogical. I don't have the words for Obama. I mean, a lot of people say he doesn't know what he's doing, but no, I believe he knows exactly what he's doing, and then he tries to change it, flip it, and sweep it away. At one point in time, I was caught up in the notion that Obama did do this intentionally to look good to the American people for the run-up of the elections that just went down for the Senate. But now I think about it, man, I don't know. I think it was his way of getting the Taliban out of Guantanamo Bay, getting them out of Guantanamo Bay, and sending them back on the battlefield, sending the Muslims back to their Muslim native country, their homeland. That's what I honestly believe that he was wanting, wishing, attempting, and successfully did. Obama successfully has released Taliban generals, if you will, terrorist generals, the worst of the worst. He has successfully sent them back on the battlefield. I'm dumbfounded. I mean, I'm beside myself that the American politicians on both sides don't step up and stand up against this. This is the shame of it all. So Eric Bolling goes back to Lieutenant Colonel Peters and says, what are they thinking, trading those 5 bad terrorists that are getting back into the fight? What were they thinking?
First of all, let me say, Bergdahl, they're now playing it that Bergdahl was tortured because he was chained by the Taliban. Eric, let me tell you how not to get tortured by the Taliban. Don't desert to the Taliban. Works every time. Now, as far as what the White House was thinking, I think it's pretty clear. On one hand, this is a president, none of whose inner circle ever served in the military. They disdain the military. We who join the military are too stupid to do anything else. We're about pickup trucks and beer and guns and God and all that nasty stuff. On the other hand, Obama just is determined to close Gitmo. Those 5 Taliban prisoners never could have been released otherwise. But he used this excuse, didn't notify Congress that we're bringing home an American. He thought he'd get a twofer, get rid of the 5 Taliban chieftains. At the same time, he really thought the Army would celebrate the return of Bo Bergdahl. They're so tone deaf, they didn't ask the Army. They just don't understand a military that believes in stupid old-fashioned concepts like integrity and honor and duty and country and patriotism. It's beyond the ken of Team Obama.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe they think they're just some backwoods redneck, gun-toting, Bible-thumping. I'm sure they do believe that, but I don't think that has any weight or gravity to any of the decisions they make. I honestly believe that his goal, his number one goal, within the next year and a half before he's finished with his presidency, is to get to the point to where he stays president and becomes the dictator of America. I mean, that's his goal, is to become dictator and to rule America as, his whole, what do you want to call it? It's his world. Create this as his entire world. I mean, when he says stuff like
American problem, black problem, brown problem, a Native American problem, that's a problem.
Of course it's a problem. They're all problems. No, bro, you're the problem. You're the problem. So anyways, this week this came up. Lieutenant Colonel Peters wrote an article and was quoted as saying some other things because of this late-breaking news that Bo Bergdahl will be charged with desertion. He will be charged by the military and could face up to life in prison with an extra 5 years on top of life. So Colonel Peters went on to say, I'm very proud of the U.S. Army because this is clearly a case of the Army standing up to all the pressures of the Obama administration that could bring to bear. He also said, the administration, I can tell you, has been fighting tooth and nail to get the Army to cook the books, reduce the charge to AWOL or less. But my God, at least some of the generals showed some backbone, stood up and said, no, this clearly matters. So the bottom line, it's not about Bergdahl. It's about the greater principle that you cannot just abandon your post in the face of the enemy. You just, right? You can't. Well, you can. You can, But if you do, you may wind up dead, or you may wind up in prison for life. You know, when people say, you know, there's only two things in this world that'll go down, is death and taxes. Well, you know, you don't have to pay taxes. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. Oh, that's not. I mean, seriously, physically, you don't have to pay them. And like I said, again, you don't have to serve. And certainly, if you don't want to serve, you shouldn't serve. There's also an article that I posted up on Facebook. You find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Brian, Brian, the letter P as in Paul, Smith, Smyth, and we posted up this article. Shannon Allen, the wife of Sergeant First Class Mark Allen, posted a scathing message on Facebook. There's a picture of her all dressed up, very beautiful woman, with her husband in a wheelchair, disfigured, disformed, apparently paralyzed. I don't know if it's from the neck down, but he's paralyzed. They had a couple of kids before he was paralyzed, and they're a little bit older now. So she posted this whole thing on Facebook right after this all came out. Sergeant Allen was paralyzed by an enemy sniper bullet while searching for deserter Bo Birddog in Afghanistan in 2009. You can imagine the anger. This is totally outrageous. Okay, so this is now her Facebook post. Meet my husband. Injuries directly brought to you by the actions of this traitor. He can't give an account of what went down because he can no longer speak. Now, which guy is a hero? Again, sick. Yes. This is really what's going down right now, and this is the situation that we're in, where what's right is wrong and what's wrong is right. If you're in this administration, it's infuriating, is what it is. Now, Megyn Kelly had Jen Psaki. She's with the State Department, and she had her on her show, Megyn Kelly's show, and was asking Jen if this was a good idea. Now, there's a conversation that goes back and forth for about a minute, so I'll let it roll because I want you to hear Megyn Kelly. And I mean, she has her own show, so she can put her own personal feelings into it, her own opinion. But just listen to how she's coming at the State Department when it has to do with this whole Birddall thing.
It was a tough decision, but was it the right decision? I mean, that's the question. They look at three of these five Taliban guys is trying to return to terror now, and they didn't need to be released from Gitmo.
This is a commitment that we have made. We have long made. We've made for decades. We have the ability to track and work with the Qataris. The reason that we know that individuals reportedly were online and engaging with individuals they shouldn't be is because we track it. It means the system of tracking works.
What about the fact that the supervision of these five top Taliban commanders over in Qatar is supposed to end in 2 months? That doesn't seem like a good idea.
Well, obviously these plans and agreements are designed and they'll be discussed, and we will do everything we can to ensure that the proper precautions and requirements are in place with the government of Qatar. 2 months from now is a long time as it relates to diplomacy.
Yes, 2 months is a long time. Yes, folks, you heard that correctly. Those 5 Taliban terrorists were released to Qatar to be monitored for a certain amount of time. And then after that time, I don't know. What do you say? What happens? You know? I don't have the answers for these people. I mean, you can hear it in my voice. I'm dumbfounded.
You're right.
Yes. Yes, that's about all I've got. Oh, for these people to be so smart, and they think they are. They think they're so smart and they know so good. But yet, if you look at their actions, they are absolutely way in over their head. They have no experience. They have no experience and skill at making decisions. Because making decisions is like exercising your muscles. The more decisions you make, the better you get at making them. Well, these folks have been handed everything their entire life and think they have no idea how to make a decision. And then when they make one, it's the wrong one or it's the bad one. You know, and they don't think that we can't see through this. The American people can clearly see through this. I mean, certainly you can. I mean, I'm playing these clips. You heard what she said. Does that even sound rational? I mean, seriously, does that sound rational? And again, with Susan Rice and what she said.
Sergeant Bergdahl wasn't simply a hostage. He was an American prisoner of war, captured on the battlefield. He served the United States with honor and distinction.
I don't know. I mean, honor and distinction, and you write letters back to your family saying, I'm ashamed to be an American. The horror of America is disgusting. Okay. I mean, I don't know how much more I can say about this. It's infuriating. It's frustrating. Hopefully it all comes to light. Things come out, and they get their just dessert. That's all I can say for right now. But folks, you got to think about who you're voting for. When you're voting in an election, you got to understand, and you got to stay plugged into the network. Let me back up. You've got to vote, obviously. And for those of you who listen to the show, I know you vote because you're an informed voter. That's why you listen to the show. You're informed. Get your friends that aren't informed, get them to listen to the show, and they'll be informed voters as well, and they'll want to vote. So you got to get people to want to vote. Democrats do that by playing on people's emotions and their passion. You got to get emotional about it. I mean, YouTube Adolf Hitler and his speeches and how passionate and I mean, just emotional and passionate about whatever he was saying. I mean, when you have no idea what he's saying, but you can see he's really animated and into it. And if you don't know what they're talking about, then they'll sway your emotions by using their emotions. Okay. We don't use emotions. We use facts. You like your freedom. You like your money. You want to keep your freedom. You want to keep your money. You want a secure nation from illegal immigrants trying to cross the border and come in here and take your stuff. From terrorists trying to cross the border and take your stuff. Take your life, take your money, take your family, rape and pillage and do whatever they will. Because that's what they're doing in the Middle East. That's what they're raised to do. They were taught that men obtain things by raping and pillaging, warring, shooting, killing, manly man stuff. That's what the Muslims teach each other. That's what they teach their children. I'm not making this up. This is out there. They put this out there. So we in America view it completely different. We respect everybody and all their ideas to do whatever they want to do as long as they don't infringe on the other rights of other people. So you create a product or an innovation or an idea, you bring it to market and you sell it. So you make somebody's life easier and happier. That's how we got air conditioning. That's how we got water filtration. That's how we got anything from the shoes on your feet to the clothes on your back. The brand new cars that we drive. All these things, the creature comforts of life. You know, what is that bed? The Sleep Number bed. You got a plug for them. Somebody give them a call and let them know I'm plugging them so that they can pay us. You You got the adjustable bed that comes up and comes down and it's heated, back massage, and you can't buy none of that stuff over there in the Middle East. It doesn't exist. It's funny that I bring this up. This is a side note, but a buddy of mine that I know pretty well, he was raised in the Air Force as a military brat. That's just what they call him. And his father was an officer in the military. And he was, as a young kid, all through his entire life. They were stationed in Turkey for 6 years. And during the 6 years that he was in Turkey, he said he never made so much money in his entire life. I said, well, how is that, man? Because he said he could take and go on base and buy a pack of Hubba Bubba for 25 cents or 50 cents or whatever it cost back then, because you didn't pay tax on it. And he would go out into Turkey to the Muslims and show them the pack of Hubba Bubba and sell it for $5. Because he was the only one selling Hubba Bubba. Coca-Cola. They would pay huge dollars for Coca-Cola, for Hubba Bubba, for gym shoes and T-shirts and American stuff. They pay lots of money for those creature comforts of life, the things that we have invented to give each other, to sell to each other. This is common life for us in America. This is what freedom has brought you. To hate on that? You've got Muslims in the Middle East who don't have what we have because of their absolute hate and war being part of their life. They war, they kill, they do this. Their Quran, their book, their Bible says women must be completely covered head to toe, don't show an ankle. Otherwise, if she shows her ankle, she's enticing a man and should be shot for that. What? Come on, people. This is what we're at war with. This is the religious war. This is the war of World War III. The religious war. Seriously. These Muslims want to kill you, and they hate on you so much that they're willing to kill their own children for it. How do you fight that? Yeah, right. I mean, back in the day, during Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh, who was the guy that our opposition in Vietnam, was interviewed, said, the U.S. military they're killing 40-1. They're killing 40 of your military people to one American dying. How can you? I mean, you can't keep this war up. How do you keep this war up? And he responded quite plainly, clearly, and calmly. We've got more bodies than you do. So, I mean, literally, they were mowing in Vietnam. They were killing and mowing down. The American people were killing the other army by the tens of thousands. And I mean, just bodies upon bodies upon bodies upon bodies. I mean, literally, the barrels on their M16s were starting to glow red hot and had to interchange, take it off, put a new one on. It was just never ending. To defeat a mindset like that is very, very difficult. We could have done it. But it's extremely difficult. During World War II, with the Japanese, you have Japanese Air Force pilots being told, and at one point in time, they were actually forced to do it. And so don't think that they didn't try and protest this at some point. Some of them did. But they were put in their fighter jet, fully loaded with fuel, extra fuel tanks in the front and the back, bombs, extra bombs, loaded to their gills with bombs. And as they took off, the landing gear would fall off. So they couldn't land. And they were told to take their aircraft and run it into the American ships. use your aircraft and your body as a suicide, for suicide bombers, if you will. And they coined that kamikaze. How do you defeat an army that is willing to do that? Are we here willing to die for our country, our freedom and our rights, our goodness, our wholesomeness? Are we willing to do all that? We need to be. We need to be able to say, you know what? I'm going to go all out. I'm willing to die for the freedoms that my country has for me. I'm willing to do all of that. It's hard to say because you don't find that much anymore. You find a lot of hate-filled leftists hating on America out of jealousy. The Middle Easterners, these Muslims, the only thing I can say is that they're envious, they're jealous, they're filled with all the 7 deadly sins, if you will. I mean, it's obvious. There's no question about it. There's an article I ran across. I just found it just now from MadWorldNews.com. Title of the article is "Man Who Sold Everything to Go Fight ISIS Has Dire Warning. Third World War." From the Vietnam War to the Korean War, and every war that the U.S. was involved with in between, the liberal left has prolonged the suffraging and increased the death toll with their misguided anti-war stance. Wow, is this not what I've been talking about? Seeking to sabotage democracy because of its hatred of the capitalist West and all the good things that capitalism has brought. I interjected that one for you. The progressives have effectively prevented aid and relief to innocent civilians under the guise of promoting peace. Just as they sided with the murderous dictators like Mao Zedong, Fidel Castro, because of their anthem of rebuilding a socialist paradise upon the bodies of hundreds of millions of their own people, the left indirectly supports the barbaric rampage of the Islamic State across the Middle East. Yes. Yes, they have. It is an absolute fact. They have supported this and allowed this to go down. In the last 100 years, if you take the century, the 20th century, between 1900 and 2000, take that century, those 100 years, more human bodies were murdered and killed. And when I say more, to the tune of hundreds of millions of bodies were laid to waste, innocent military as well, all wrapped up, because of communism. Because of dictators. Because of progressives. Because of these ideologies that they know better and they will make better. Capitalism, on the other hand, in the last 100 years, has freed more human souls from the depths, the absolute pits of poverty, the ruins, and the short-lived lives of infants. Infant mortality rates has plummeted because of capitalism, because the inventions of inventions. You don't think medicine didn't come around because of capitalism, do you? It did. It absolutely did. I mean, Louis Pasteur invented pasteurization for the reasons that, you could then get milk from a cow, pasteurize it, and then ship it. And then everybody can have fresh milk. I am absolutely sure, in his mind, he thought what a wonderful idea People will love this. This will help Americans. This will help innocent people who can't normally obtain milk readily available to them. People will be allowed to have that all around the world. And then, yes, maybe I'll get paid for it. And he did. Of course he did. There's nothing wrong with that. He did a good thing. Henry Ford set out to invent a vehicle that could be purchased by anyone and everyone that worked for him. Inexpensive. And it ran. And not only that, but something that was special about Ford was that it was a vehicle that could be worked on by anybody. The simplicity of it all. Yes, and he got paid for that. I'd pay him over and over again. I've owned multiple vehicles that were Fords, and I love them. I continue to buy them. They make my life easier. This is what capitalism gives you. It gives you good things. What was the last thing the Muslims gave us? Besides people with their heads cut off. I'm tired of seeing people with having their heads cut off. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of hearing about people getting their heads cut off. It's insanity. Folks, that is insanity. Okay, back to the article. Sorry about that. However, not everyone is talking about the problem in the Islamic nations. One man is doing something about it. Tim Locks gave up a comfortable life in Britain, sold his home and belongings, and moved to Iraq to fight ISIS, physically saving Christians, Yetis, and other persecuted people from Daesh. Locks is at the front line with Narashi, a Christian militia whose name means the self-sacrificers in Assyrian. However, he quickly realized he is not only battling bloodthirsty terrorists on the front, but also the anti-war inactivists who prolong the suffering of millions of innocent lives with their "it doesn't concern us" reasoning. Knowing each day he is able to update his followers, Locks took the opportunity on Facebook to remind us all exactly why ISIS is our problem. This is his Facebook post. He wrote, "Most people have studied the First and Second World War at some point in their lives. You're probably told, like me, that the Third World War would never happen. The fact that numerous nations possessed the nuclear deterrent would be enough to stop the world from trying to kill itself again. That's what we were told. I have news for you. The Third World War has been raging on for quite some time now. How many different conflicts throughout the world can you name? How many can you pinpoint on a map? How many can you actually say that you follow or keep up to date with? Well, as a follower here on Smith Radio, probably most of them. While each of these conflicts is as important as the next, there is one that is closer to my heart than the rest, simply because I'm personally involved in it. The struggle against Daesh will now always be something I'm attached to. I'm involved, not for fame, adventure, and certainly not for the financial reward. I've spent a huge amount of personal funds, but because people need protecting, and I'm able to stand up and help do that right now. Some will never be able to understand why I made this choice. There's nothing wrong with that. We are all entitled to our own views and opinions, and I would attempt to try and explain it or change their minds. There are, however, those who view it is that foreigners have no right to engage in this conflict, that it is something happening in a far-off land, And that has nothing to do with the people from Europe, the USA, Australia, or anywhere else for that matter. And to those, I would simply ask, if your mother, sister, or wife was about to be raped or sold into slavery, if your father, brother, husband was about to be decapitated or set on fire, if you were being systematically slaughtered because of your faith, your way of life, because you believe in Jesus Christ, and there were people that were willing to come and help, would you not want them to help? And that's the end of his. Absolutely. I agree 100%. Locke showed his humble side. Closed by thanks to everyone who has taken the time to donate funds, equipment, and even support, expressing that you are all heroes. If you would like to make a donation, you can do so via PayPal at improvethesituation@hotmail.com or at the page called GoFundMe page to help with medical and personal care supplies. The simplest warnings are not only reveals the threat that ISIS poses for the entire world, it also reminds us that political affiliations, race, religion, or nationality must be put aside to stop this murderous ideology from expanding its stronghold. No matter what your stance is on war, with great powers comes great responsibility, and there is no greater responsibility than rescuing the innocent from slaughter. Because that's what America does. That's what America has been doing. America has single-handedly saved countless countries and countless lives just by the existence of America. America was founded on the premise of freedom and backed by the religion of Jesus Christ, the Christians and Christianity. That is what the United States was founded on. Christianity. The fact that we are the most giving nation, the most humbling nation, the most prosperous nation that human beings have ever seen in all of human history is a testament to the fact that we are blessed and we bless others. That's what America does. And when the bully sees inside them that you have something because you've earned it, because you've worked for it, and they don't have that, then jealousy takes over, and then they start to project, and they call you names, and they beat you down. That's just what they do. That's how they roll. And this takes us over into the whole ordeal with Iran. And how this week that the Obama administration and John Kerry,
reminiscent of Genghis Khan.
Yeah, that John Kerry during Vietnam, who threw his war medals over the White House lawn. A traitor himself, is now involved in speaking to Iran to help them, supposedly, we are told, to help Iran move away from developing nuclear weapons and to deter Iran from destroying Israel. I mean, that's what we're told that these talks, these nuclear talks, are all about. However, there's a little bit of a different side when you get down to it. Let's see, what should we have? Cue up soundbite 2C, Mr. Producer, and we'll get to that here shortly. Charles Krauthammer on Fox News. Very, very straightforward. He was on the Brett Baer report, special report with Brett Baer, and this will kind of kick us off and give you an opening to reality of what's going on with the nuclear talks.
The idea that the deal is going to redeem what's happening in the region is delusional, yet that is what is driving the Obama policy. They actually believe that they will have I think it was called a legacy-making deal with Iran that somehow will deal with the chaos. It is inflaming it. The reason that the Saudis didn't tell us about what they were doing in Yemen is because they're opposing Iran, and they can see us handing the region over to Iran in the nuclear negotiations. What's happening inside Iraq, for example, the Saudi foreign minister said 2 weeks ago that Iraq is in the process of being handed over into the hands of Iran, meaning the United States is doing. We are supporting the Iranian-backed attack on Tikrit.
And this, I'm not making any predictions here, but I am going to go and side with Krauthammer. And this week, in the city, in Yemen, country of Yemen, the president had fled his house because of all the bombing and the fighting and the warring that is going on there in Yemen. It does look like Iran is wanting to take over Yemen and Iraq and control the oil, control the Middle East, and maybe even go ahead and move as far as Syria or Libya, because Libya, as Hillary Clinton left Libya, Muammar Gaddafi being removed and then disappeared and then found on ice and dead, attempted to install a government there. That didn't work. That has since failed. Libya is now in a civil war, and their oil production has plummeted, and now even if you wanted to purchase oil from Libya, you don't know who to pay for the oil. So, what a nightmare Libya is. However, Iran can see that it could take over Iraq, could take over Yemen, could take over Syria, could take over and consolidate Libya, just consolidate it all, make it theirs, and then they would be that much bigger, that much more massive, that much more oil, that much more money. I mean, just it's feasible. There's no question about it. Well, Saudi Arabia said they will not, this week they came out, said they won't rule out making a nuclear bomb themselves. So Saudi Arabia is interested in creating a nuclear weapon, and rightfully so, just as Krauthammer just said, that Saudi Arabia is a little perturbed by the fact that Obama and John Kerry are currently talking.
You're right.
That's right. To Iran and making some kind of deal. The closed door deals. That's what happened this week. The Senate, 100 politicians, I believe it was the Senate, 100 senators to 0 signed a deal that said that Obama must clear this Iranian deal through the people before they go ahead and sign it. I mean, there's a lot of opposition to what's going on with Obama and John Kerry in the midst of this whole Iran nuclear weapon deal, no deal. And if you will, let's see. Oh, Judge Jeanine, on her opening statement this week, woo, she had a scathing opening statement for the president on the nuclear Iran and what's going on with them. There's a clip. It's a little bit long, but I think it's very, very important. There might be a couple of points where I'll stop it just to kind of interject, but it's extremely important, the details and the things that she lays out to help give you a clearer picture of what's going on with Iran, what the deal is with the nuclear weapons, and kind of help you go from there.
Why are we sleeping with the enemy, writing them love letters, dining with them in Swiss palaces, while they chant death to America, while they dance with the devil as the main sponsor of terrorism and death around the world? Why are we so desperate to put a ring on Iran's finger and engage them on the nuclear issue? All the while spurning our one loyal and true ally, Israel. Why, Mr. President? So young Iranians can get jobs?
If Iran's leaders can agree to a reasonable deal, it can lead to a better path.
Really? Really? So if Iranian leaders can... Oh, that was something else that happened. Oh, I almost forgot about this. This is unprecedented, folks. Obama addressed the people of Iran. Yes. No. Yes. Like the State of the Union address where he addresses the American people. He went on and addressed his people. The people of Iran. The entire population. He addressed them and urged them, in other words, to support this nuclear deal. It is unprecedented. I don't know of any president in all of American history that ever addressed another nation that we don't have the same ideologies as Iran. Maybe one thing if he addressed the British people or even the Japanese, they're a democracy as well. Or maybe addressed Israel, they're a democracy. But Iran, Muslims, the Ayatollah Khomeini, it's insanity. So this is in his speech. That's what he said to address. If you support this nuclear deal, it'll make a better life for you. I don't have any words. So Janine goes on.
The path of greater opportunities for the Iranian people. More trade and ties with the world. More foreign investment and jobs, including for young Iranians.
There are those who say your decisions are politically driven, like your decision to get out of Iraq, or the decision to empty Guantanamo, to trade 5 Taliban leaders for one American who most knew was a deserter. And more on that one coming up later in the show. But even your most cynical critics can't figure out what possible benefit there is to engage in nuclear discussions with Iran. Do you really believe, Mr. President, that Iran is developing centrifuges only for scientific and medical reasons? Is the Ayatollah Khomeini channeling you and trying to institute Khomeini care in Iran? Iran is one of the world's largest exporters of oil. They have few energy needs. And if they want nuclear energy for peaceful purposes, why were they hiding one of their facilities and putting it in a bunker 300 feet below ground, behind mountains, making it almost impervious to attack? Now, you all know I've been pushing the U.S. to protect its power grid for years, but the Iranians burying it the length of a football field below ground, to me, can mean only one thing. And reports are this year that they will have intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of carrying a nuclear warhead. Now, I may be a cynic, but I don't believe they need an intercontinental ballistic missile to disperse Khomeini care pamphlets to the public.
Yes, you heard that correct. And it's short for ICBM, International Continental Ballistic Missiles, ICBM. They already have been testing those missiles right now we hear from South Korea all the time. South Korea is in the middle of all of this, as well as Israel, but South Korea is saying that they're already testing their rockets. North Korea, like Kim Jong-un, who is a evil, murderous, slaughtering dictator himself, killed his uncle and his aunt and some other family members because they got in the way. A government project complex in the middle of being built collapsed, and so he had all the contractors killed. North Korea and Iran are both together. I mean, they're buddies. And whatever Iran gets, North Korea will have as well. There's no question about it. And the only countries in all of the Middle East that are peaceful, non-warring democracies, or at least some quasi-form of democracy, and enjoy the fruits of the labor of capitalism, Israel, South Korea. Both are being threatened every single moment of every single day. Because they have the good life. And they don't want war. They don't want to kill. They don't want this hatred and this bloody, innocent blood. The bloody streets. And they don't want that. And they want this to stop. So the Canadian Prime Minister came out this week and took the side of Israel and made this statement.
But when Israel, the only country in the world whose very existence is under attack, is consistently and conspicuously singled out for condemnation, I believe we are morally obligated to take a stand. Demonization, double standards, delegitimization. The 3 Ds, it is a responsibility of us all to stand up to them. And I know, by the way, because I have the bruises to show for it, that whether it is at the United Nations or any other international forum, the easiest thing to do is simply to just get along and go along with this anti-Israeli rhetoric, to pretend it is just about being even-handed, and to excuse oneself with the label of honest broker. There are, after all, a lot more votes, a lot more, in being anti-Israeli than in taking a stand. But as long as I am Prime Minister, whether it is at the United Nations, the Francophonie, or anywhere else, Canada will take that stand, whatever the cost.
So there you go. Outspoken about taking the stand for Israel? Ooh, you better watch yourself. You better watch to see who's coming for you. I don't know if that was such a good idea to say that, with Obama being president and all. Got to be careful. Something that was put up by AmericasFreedomFighters.com. They've got a map of Russia saying World War III alert. Russia threatens to help Mexico retake southwest U.S. if Obama sends weapons to Ukraine. So, I know it's a little bit of a side note, but it's all over there. Putin in the mix of all of this is eyeing it and just salivating and waiting for the moment that he could get a piece of what he wants. It's no joke. And I've got speaking of that, I've got a montage clip. Iran nuclear talks, nuclear weapons. Obama wants to help Iran attain nuclear weapons. So, Obama, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 short snippets, back to back to back, of Obama, and this goes from October 2012 to March 2013, and his stance on Iran and the nuclear bomb option or not option.
As long as I'm President of the United States, Iran will not get a nuclear weapon.
We will not countenance Iran getting a nuclear weapon. We are determined to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. Why the United States will do what we must to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
That is a red line for us. It's something that would not only be dangerous for Israel, but would be dangerous for the world.
We do not want Iran having nuclear weapons. So our policy is Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. And I'm leaving all options on the table to make sure that we meet that goal.
Okay. So, you heard all those clips. Iran, no nuclear weapons. None, 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 none. Okay. Now, there's 3 clips from the news media that follow up right behind there, and they're all from February 2015 to just in the month of February 2015 leading up to John Kerry speaking. So you're going to hear 3 news media clips about Iran and nuclear weapons, and then right after that, you're going to hear 2 clips of John Kerry speaking to the Senate about Iran and their nuclear or non-nuclear nuclear weapons, if they should or shouldn't have them.
U.S. and Iran are exploring a nuclear deal that would let the mullahs develop a nuclear weapon after 10 years.
The U.S. making progress, it seems, in shaping a deal that would initially freeze Iran's nuclear program and then allow a slow increase in activity.
The two are said to be exploring a deal that would restrain Iran from making enough enriched uranium for a bomb for a period of 10 years.
Sure, it's controversial and may have some risks.
Yes. I'm sorry. I couldn't help that one. Sure, it's controversial and may have some risks. What? Allowing Iran to have a nuclear weapon? Have you lost your mind? Apparently. And he goes on.
But we are daring to believe that diplomacy may be able to provide a better alternative to ridding Iran of the possibility of a nuclear weapon than a war. The policy is Iran will not get a nuclear weapon. And anybody running around right now jumping in to say, well, we don't like the deal or this or that, doesn't know what the deal is. There is no deal yet. And I caution people to wait and see what these negotiations produce.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
The deal? You're questioning my deal? Well, it's because you don't know what the deal is. Well, of course we don't know what the deal is, Mr. Kerry. Because you guys aren't letting us know what the deal is. Come on, man. Both those clips were both in the same day, by the way. Both those sound bites came on February 24th, 2015. So just about a month and some change ago, John Kerry came out and said, sure, it's controversial. That probably happened in the morning. And then he came out later on, and clean it up. It'd cover up. No, man. No, nobody said, oh, that's crazy. Nobody said anything about a bomb. We're not letting them have a bomb. Come on now. And if you think prejudging, you don't know what's in the deal. You don't know what the deal is, because if you knew what the deal was, you'd probably be really upset. Oh, my goodness. This is the lunacy that we're dealing with, right? This is what we have to put up with. You might as well... I have the... What is this? This is Obama's... It's just a clip. It's a clip of Obama's next Secretary of State after John Kerry steps down.
The world isn't fair. I do everything people ask me to. I stand in the lunch lines for them. I buy tampons at the store for them. I go on Maury Povich with balls on my chin for them. And yet nobody accepts me. I am an outcast. A shadow of a man who can find no companionship. Fine. If I'm to be an outcast, so be it. I'm through doing what others tell me to do, and I am sick of this world and the stinky people in it. From now on, I will dedicate my life to bringing chaos to the world that has rejected me. I will become the greatest supervillain the world has ever seen. Where I go, destruction will follow. Prepare, little town. Prepare for the greatest supervillain you have ever seen. Professor Chaos!
Butters, time for bed.
Okay, Mom. Yes, sleep for now. Tomorrow, the chaos begins.
Captain Chaos, or no, sorry, Professor Chaos will be the next Secretary of State to follow up after John Kerry does what he does. So, skipping over to Israel real quick, the Pentagon just quietly declassified a top-secret document which reveals details about Israel's nuclear program, while simultaneously keeping sanctions in the report on Italy, France, West Germany, and other NATO countries blacked out and classified. The contents of the 1987 386-page document titled Critical Technology Assessment in Israel and NATO Nations is announced to avoid a regional nuclear arms race, and which the U.S. now has respected by remaining silent. But by publishing the declassified documents from '87, the U.S. reportedly breached the silent agreement to keep quiet on Israel's nuclear powers for the first time ever, detailing the nuclear program in great depths. Israel has never formally disclosed whether or not they have nukes, although it's widely believed that their arsenal of nuclear weapons is substantial. Now, however, Obama has completely undermined Israel's insurance in maintaining doubt. Wow! You talk about breaking news, folks. That was as breaking as you can get. I have no words for this administration other than the fact that they are literally trying to undo and unhinge and upheave all that is good in this entire world. Single-handedly, they're trying to take everything that is good and flip it upside down, creating chaos. Yes, chaos. Oh, the only thing that I could see is that even if we got a good, solid, conservative Tea Party member, whatever it be, even if you put Reagan back in there, he only has 8 years to try and steer this ship into a new direction. I'm going to be honest with you, 8 years isn't enough. And I'm not saying that I want the same person for more than 8 years like Obama wants. What I'm saying is that this is going to be a generational thing. It's going to take our generation and our children's generation to straighten this out. There's just no question about it. And the only way to straighten this out is to stay on top of this like never, ever, ever before. Oh, so this week, Ted Cruz, Texas Senator, announced his running for president or candidate of the GOP, the Republican Party. If you remember, in 2013, he ran a 21-hour filibuster in order to stop Obamacare, unsuccessfully, obviously. And we have Whoopi Goldberg and The View. Sound clip 5. Can you find that for me? There you go. The birth. Yep, that's it, Mr. Producer. Okay. Got that keyed up. We have Whoopi Goldberg and the Talking Heads. I don't know who all those other people are. You may recognize their voices, but that didn't matter to me. I would never watch this show, ever. But this is what they had to say about Senator Ted Cruz.
So we officially have our first candidate for president in 2016, Republican Texas Senator Ted Cruz, the man who famously read Green Eggs and Ham on the Senate floor, helped lead a 21-day government shutdown, and has been a vocal skeptic of climate change. Now, California Governor Jerry Brown wasted no time in weighing in. Take a look.
It's climate disruption of many different kinds, and that man betokens such a level of ignorance and a direct falsification of the existing scientific data. It's shocking, and I think that man has rendered himself absolutely unfit to be. Okay,
so we've got more of that soundbite, but I I can't help but I can't help but for you to know that oh my goodness, the science is settled. The science is settled. No, the science isn't settled. We've talked about this many times. Climate chaos, climate change. Now he's calling it climate something else. Captain Chaos, Captain Change. I mean, wow. He is unfit because he is a climate chaos denier. Okay, good for you, Jerry Brown. Weren't you fired as governor of California back in the 70s? Yeah. Yeah, and then they reelected you 25 years later? Wow. 30 years later? Yeah. Yeah, no, amazing. Your gun control out there in California is working. Your drought problem is not working. Okay, Jerry Brown. Yeah, time to go away.
Running for office.
Wow. Says America's fresh new face in politics. Now let me tell you something about Ted Cruz. I heard the best explanation for Ted and Mercy Schlapp, who appeared on Bill Maher on Friday. And
Schlapp?
Yeah.
That's a great name.
Great
I just
name,
want to
right?
point it out. Okay.
So her explanation for why he's sometimes over the top. Now stay with me, folks. Do you like Pitbull? Who doesn't like Pitbull?
Mr. Worldwide. We like Mr. Worldwide, yeah.
Pitbull is Cuban. Ted Cruz is Cuban, half Cuban. Sometimes he's over the top. He takes things too far sometimes, but let me tell you something. He does not.
That's a little racist.
This was Mercy who is Cuban. This was Mercy's explanation for Ted Cruz being over the top. She was asked to sort of explain him to people who don't get him. And Mercy, who is Cuban, said, Cubans have a tendency to exaggerate.
Like exaggerate climate change?
She was asked,
how you do that.
She was asked about him making a 3-year crop. But let me say this about Ted Cruz. He does not animate me. He does not speak to my part of the Republican Party.
Yeah, he doesn't speak to your part of the Republican Party because you are a rhino. Republican in name only. You are not a conservative. You are not a Republican. And of course he wouldn't talk to you. There's no reason to talk to you. You're a melon head. I mean, literally. You have mush for brains. They go on screaming and cackling.
And that's his strategy. His strategy is to have people from a more moderate wing of the Republican Party rail against him. His strategy is to rally the most fervent, the most sort of die-hard conservatives and thrill them, and he does.
And there is nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely what you have to do. Create your base. Lay the foundation, create it from there, and move on. There are so many conservative Americans in America, overwhelmingly, that would vote for him just because he's conservative, just because he's not a communist.
Got it, but you know what? That's all in good, but you cannot exaggerate and falsify the facts. And for him to say that the scientists are not on board in regards to climate change was wrong. And
No, sorry, Rosie. No, you're wrong. It's not a consensus. Science is not a consensus. And the guy who originally came up with the climate global warming initiative, scientist, all these things, he came out just a few weeks ago and said that he was wrong. There are scientists that are jumping off of this bandwagon, left and right. There is no consensus. The science is not settled. I mean, look at what we have going on now. There's a report out today said that the East Coast is yet bearing down. Winter is not over. We are going into April, and we will be dipping close to near zeros again. What? April? Global warming? Where's Al Gore? Huh? What?
Professor Chaos!
We got Professor Chaos running amok.
called him out on it. And so that has nothing to do with him being Cuban or nothing to do with him being over the top. It has everything with him being wrong on the issue.
But you know,
and for somebody who's writing
issue 27 for the American voter.
Did you see that? Did you see California? The drought in California. Yeah.
Okay, the drought in California. Yeah, the drought is where the desert is. Yes, you guys live in a desert in Los Angeles. It's a desert. Your water has to be shipped in. There are deserts in America. People don't live there except you in L.A. Good for you guys.
It is dangerous. It is very dangerous to the point that the government may have to take over the distribution of water.
Yes. Let the government take over the distribution of water because they've done such a good job of taking over everything else. Whoo! Ooh, wow. Reminds me of a movie with Jack Nicholson in it called the China Project. Oh, I have to look that one up for you. Mr. Producer, can you look up that movie with Jack Nicholas in it called the Chinatown. Okay, right. Chinatown. Movie called Chinatown, and it was based out there in L.A., and it had to do with water and not getting water and criminal elements of the water and stuff. Yes! It's been going on forever in California because you live in a desert. And you think, Rosie, that the world revolves around L.A. and California, and y'all got a drought. There's no drought up in the mountains, up in Northern California. I mean, there's no drought here in Cincinnati. There's no drought in other states throughout all of America. There's no drought. You live in the desert. And for you to use one area, California, you just use the word California, the whole state, as if that's all that mattered. But it's really a small section of California. Los Angeles, Southern California, SoCal, desert, that the government may have to take over. Nice.
It's real. It is real. It is happening.
I'm not questioning the drought.
Can I ask a question about Ted Cruz? Sure. He was not born in America. He was born in Canada.
Yeah.
So how can he run? How could he run for president? I know he has to go to court.
I'm sorry. It's going to be the least of his problems.
But least of his problems.
None of us have anything to do with it. I'm looking forward to that.
No, I'm not
Okay. I just want to get to that part, the screaming and the cackling.
Feel like Republicans like me have not been tough enough, and he speaks to them.
For you to say, I'm a Ted Cruz birther.
Yeah.
I want to see the birth.
For you to say, as a Republican, that him not being born in this country is the least of his problem is insane. Insane. I love you, darling, but with the birthers and all of that stuff, they made it a huge issue.
Where he was born.
Well, it is still a huge issue because Obama should never have been president, and he's ruining the country. That's why it's an issue. That's why it's a huge issue. Oh, so done with these cackling battle axes. See, and what frustrates me is because there is a handful, I don't know how many, but there's a handful of women, probably single, no husband, angry, hate men, into the whole good with abortion thing, that watch this show. And they may be swayed. I don't know. But, it's frustrating to know that a network would put on a show of this caliber because people, just so, you could say what you want, it's free speech, but man, it's borderline criminal. Just the way things they say, claiming to be Republican, and they do that on purpose. She claims to be Republican so that if somebody out there is a Republican watching, then you may, identify with her then. And you don't, because you don't realize she's not a Republican and neither are you. That's just what it is. she's not a Republican, and if you agree with her, you're not a Republican either. So, I digress. Anyways, go on. MSNBC and their hate and racism towards Republicans as well. Oh my goodness! There's a talking head on one of the morning shows, and this is what she said about. Well, here, let me play this part first. Ted Cruz was on NBC, and they had talked to him and asked him about certain things and 9/11 and music taste. Just jovial. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like the time that they skewered Mitt Romney's wife. It wasn't like that. But this was a little bit more calm and mild, and this is what they said.
I know we've got to wrap it up, but I do have one more thing, because I see headlines where people say, who is Ted Cruz? So this is what I'd like to know. What kind of music do you listen to? If I came over on a Saturday night, what are we doing? What are you watching on TV? What do you do for fun?
On TV, I just finished watching the third season of House of Cards.
Okay,
which
so you have good
really
taste,
like that?
You have good taste in TV shows.
You know, fortunately, there are fewer murders in politics in real life.
What's your music?
You know, music is interesting. I grew up listening to classic rock, and I'll tell you sort of an odd story. My music taste changed on 9/11. And it's a very strange... I actually intellectually find this very curious, but on 9/11... I didn't like how rock music responded. And country music collectively, the way they responded, it resonated with me. And I have to say, it just as a gut level, I had an emotional reaction that says, these are my people. And so ever since 2001, I listen to country music. But I'm an odd country music fan because I didn't listen to it prior to 2001.
No, I hear you on country music. And final sentence. You should be elected president because, just one sentence.
Because I'll tell the truth, and I'll do what I said I would do.
All right. We shall see. Senator Cruz, thank you very much.
Amen.
You're the first candidate out there.
For that.
Thank you very much, sir.
Because I'll tell the truth, and I'll do what I say I'm going to do. He said... Technical difficulties there, folks. He said that he was going to repeal every bit of Obamacare. I'd like to see that. I'd like to give him the opportunity to do that and put us back into the healthcare system we did have, because everybody and anybody who wanted healthcare could get it. Let's say he wants to bring back. He'll be honest and not lie. Wow. Now there's a change. Whew, there's a change. Okay, getting back to what he said. He made the comment that 9/11 made him change the country music. Okay, goofy, weird, whatever. That's fine. Ironically, I've been flipping through the stations here recently, and I've stumbled across some country stations as well, and there's a lot of poppy pop culture type stuff. And that's fine. I know what he's saying when he said country music after 9/11, because it was more all about America. The heart of America, America, the beautiful, rally around America. I saw that too with country music. But so be it. It's his own personal choice, and that's what he said. Okay. Well, a woman by the name of Jamal on MSNBC was asked, what is Ted Cruz talking about? And this is what she said.
Jamila, what's he talking about?
Nothing says, let's go kill some Muslims like country music. Fresh from
that's what she
Lynchburg,
said.
Virginia. Someone who obviously does not want to be a polarizing candidate, wants to bring people together.
Obviously.
I mean, really? Country, I mean, that's absurd.
Well, but I mean, there's plenty of country music that doesn't have that message, right? Well,
okay. I stopped it right there mid-sentence because I don't want to spoil the rest of the clip. You heard what she said. She said nothing says let's go kill some Muslims like country music. Straight out of Lynchburg, Virginia, I think she said. I think it's Lynchburg, Tennessee. But she said Lynchburg, Virginia. On on the news show on MSNBC. This is why they're so irrelevant. Okay. After that clip was over, and that was finished, I don't know how much later, but this is the second half. He came back out after that Jamila. She had left, and she was gone, and they came out, and here's the finish of the clip.
Welcome back, and we have a programming note. A few minutes ago on this show, a guest made a comment about country music. That comment was not appropriate, and we want to be clear, this network does not condone it.
Well, there you go. You better not condone it. Oh, how do you have people like that on your show to begin with? Racist, hateful, just really down and out, hate-filled individuals. So, that's MSNBC. Don't listen to them. Don't need to. You can decide whether you should listen to them or not, but yeah, I'm not seeing any of that for me. So, Jamalia, we're done with you, sister. Gonna have to cut that one out, and we should probably do a background search of Jamalia before she comes back on.
Agent Hurley, I want you to give this scumbag a cavity search. I'm talking roto-rooter. Don't stop till you reach the back of his teeth.
Oh my goodness! Well, we could do that if you want. Doesn't bother me. Okay, let's touch real quick on something that was huge and pretty much consumed all of news this week. Then wasn't sure if I was going to get to it or not, but Germanwings Airbus 320 crashed. When I heard about this aircraft crashing earlier this week, with 150 souls on board, God bless them, God rest their souls, Godspeed, and take care of their families. That's who's going to need it, because there's 150 souls that are in heaven right now, and their families are going to need the comfort and support of God right now as we speak. So, from all the reports and everything that's come out, apparently this co-pilot, who had about 6,000 hours worth of training, wanted to fly a larger aircraft, wanted to marry his girlfriend, wanted to. He was even reported as telling her that that the world will remember him forever. Little tidbits and things like that. He was going through some Great Depression, taking medications, and on and off, ups and downs, telltale signs, stress. Excuse me, folks. He was also in just finished an eye exam, and it looked like he may be removed from flying again. So all these things started to culminate, started to come together. He was an avid hiker and paraglider, and apparently had traveled through this portion of the mountains where the plane had crashed. Had flew over it many times before, had hiked through it before, and talked about how much he actually loved this section. I believe it's of South France, and it was just really odd. I did see some reports that he is of Muslim faith. I don't know how much that deals with it. However, the French came out immediately, and they were asked if this had anything to do with terrorism, and they said instantly, knee-jerk, absolutely not. I don't know why they would say that, other than being scared, but they said absolutely not, no terrorism whatsoever. Okay, so be it. I don't have anything else to say otherwise. Now, when this aircraft was reported to have crashed into the side of a mountain at 430 miles an hour, all souls are lost. They recovered the black box, which isn't black, it's actually orange. They recovered it on Wednesday and played the tapes of it and found that the co-pilot, this guy in question, had repeatedly urged the pilot to go to the bathroom. Go take a potty break. Go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom. Come on, go. And you know you got to go. Go, 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 go. That would be really weird to me, too. But as soon as he did, he left to go to the bathroom, the co-pilot locked the door. Now, why the cockpit can be locked and a pilot be locked out of the cockpit is beyond me. I would think that they would have a bathroom in the... I mean, maybe a door into the bathroom from... I don't know, folks. But apparently he locked the pilot out. And the captain of the doomed Germanwings plane reportedly used an axe to break down the cockpit door in the final moments before his co-pilot intentionally set the descent of the plane to 100 feet. Evidence from the cockpit voice recorder suggests that the captain of the Airbus A320, who was the independent understanding his name is Patrick Sotomayor, left the flight deck mid-journey, presumably to go to the toilet. Prosecutors say he returned to find his co-pilot had barricaded himself inside and had set the plane to descent over the French Alps. French investigators said the captain can be heard asking several times for access after identifying himself, but received no response. Then he banged on the door before trying to forcefully gain entry, with one investigator telling the New York Times you can hear he is trying to smash the door down. For 9 minutes, this plane plummeted at 430 miles an hour into the side of a mountain. For 9 minutes. The pilot knew they were going down. All the passengers knew they were going down. They said the screaming of all the passengers, the frantic pilot, this didn't have to happen. And I thought about this myself too. Before we found out what had happened, I said this is really weird. Something is super, super wrong for an A320, an Airbus, a giant aircraft, to come out of the sky. That doesn't happen. When was the last time you heard of a 747 crashing? It doesn't happen. It does not happen. There's smaller aircrafts that crash. The large aircrafts do not. I mean, it just doesn't happen. The redundancy of the systems. If something fails, there's always a backup. If something fails 5 or 6 times, there's another backup. There's another backup to a backup. It just doesn't happen. Airbus needs to rethink about this situation and how they really need to go back to the drawing board and figure out how this cannot possibly happen again. But as the reporting of that story, I got pretty emotional about it this week. It was really upsetting hearing about all that went down. It was just super sad. And like I said, may God comfort the families of that Airbus, because they're going to need it for sure. Wow. I know, sombering moment. Apologize, folks. I had to get that out there, though. I didn't spend a half an hour on it like I did with Hillary. Speaking of Hillary, get back to something funny. Speaking of Hillary, I've got. I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. We're gonna end the show a little early tonight, but there is a great speaker. His name's Bill Whittle. I follow him. Love listening to it. And Bill Whittle did a little video on Hillary and the criminal arrogance of her and not turning over email. So I'm going to let Bill Whittle let this go for a little bit. I mean, it's the full video, so I'm going to let this go for a little bit, and then we'll come back and wrap things up.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Whittle, and this is The Firewall. The American experiment was many things, but first and foremost, it was an attempt for the first time in human history to create a society based upon the rule of law. The Declaration of Independence lists in exhaustive and minute detail nearly 30 enumerated cases of lawlessness on the part of King George III. This nation showed the world that common people could not only rule themselves, they could do so without an aristocracy, and especially do so without an aristocracy that was, like King George, above the law. Hey, here's a law, U.S. Code Title 18, Part 1, Chapter 101, Section 2071, Paragraph A, quote, "Whoever willfully and unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, or destroys, or attempts to do so, or, with intent to do so, takes and carries away any record, proceeding, map, book, paper, document, or other thing filed or deposited with any clerk or officer of any court of the United States, or in any public office, or with any judicial or public officer of the United States, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years, or both." And paragraph B says, "Whoever, having the custody of any such record, proceeding, map, book, document, paper, or other thing, willfully and unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, falsifies, or destroys the same, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years, or both, and shall forfeit his office and be disqualified from holding any office under the United States." Hillary Rodham Clinton decided to conduct for 4 years the office of Secretary of State using her own private email server. Now, because these emails were not transacted and recorded through the official State Department servers, Mrs. Clinton willfully concealed and removed these critical documents from the records and archives of the United States government. You can further argue that by electing not to have these records placed onto secure government servers, which, not only being secure, are routinely backed up and, most importantly, subject to Freedom of Information Act requests, that she has, by any reasonable interpretation, mutilated, obliterated, and destroyed these essential records, which belong not to Hillary Rodham Clinton, but rather to the Secretary of State of the United States of America and her employers, which would be the people of that nation. The penalty for this is a fine or up to 3 years imprisonment, or both. That's paragraph A of the law. By her own admission, transacting all of her State Department business through her private server means that by not turning the entire server over to the State Department, all of it, it's for us to decide what's important or incriminating, not her. She has, in fact, quote, "willfully and unlawfully concealed, removed, mutilated, obliterated, falsified, or destroyed the same," unquote. That, too, is punishable by fine, up to 3 years imprisonment, or both, and, parenthetically, forfeiture of office and disqualification from holding any office under the United States. That's the law. That's what the law says. This kind of lawlessness is endemic in this administration, but beyond the lawlessness is, of course, contempt. The contempt for the very idea that these Harvard and Yale Law School grads have to actually, obey the law. Those for little people. The contempt for the American people's right to know what their elected officials are actually doing. And beyond all of this, the towering, monumental, criminal arrogance of it, that the official business of the United States of America, the nation's diplomacy, strategy, its defense posture, privileged communications between our allies, and in point of fact, every particle of our nation's foreign policy was being discussed and archived in a single box in either Texas or Manhattan or wherever the hell it is. That this server's basic, routine Microsoft security updates, the kind of thing that you and I get pestered with every day, were not complied with, that the vital security interests are, in point of fact, the very lives of 320 million people, did not warrant the effort to even obtain a unique encryption certificate, but rather just use the same one issued to thousands, if not millions, of other users. All of this gets to the heart not only of who Hillary Clinton is and the contempt in which she holds the American people, it's much deeper than that. Because when the President of the United States of America gets an official notification from his Secretary of State from bestmattressdeals99@yahoo.com or any email that does not end in .gov, then he too is complicit in this lawlessness, and for the same reason. Barack Obama's press secretary, Josh Earnest, admitted that the president did in fact receive emails from his Secretary of State from such an address, and he went on to say this.
He was not aware of the details of how that email address and that server had been set up, or how Secretary Clinton and her team were planning to comply with the Federal Records Act.
Feel better now? The President of the United States, receiving emails from an illegal, not to mention non-secure source, did not know or care or take any action whatsoever to ensure that she complied with the federal law that she was in violation of, or give even passing interest to the massive security threat that this violation entailed. And neither did any of the people we pay to be responsible for the security of the communications of those at the uppermost level of power of the most powerful nation in the history of the world. This country was founded specifically to be rid of the incompetence, the reckless arrogance, and the casual stupidity of kings and queens who acted as though they were above the law. And if we let these crimes go unpunished, it will die of that same parasitical disease, and sooner rather than later.
Amen.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and be sure to visit us at truthrevolt.org.
That's truthrevolt.org.
And to keep these messages coming, please consider making a donation.
And we're there. Can you hear me? Testing truthrevolt.org. That's where you can find that out. I follow them quite frequently. Very, very good stuff. Love it. But, you know, it starts with changing the hearts and the minds of the people and helping them to understand who to vote for and who not to vote for and why to vote for them and why not to vote for them. I mean, if they're lying, cheating, stealing by hook or by crook, you can't support those kind of people. You just can't. The double talk, you get sick of it. Anyways. Yeah, that's going to be about it for me, folks. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You can find us on Facebook at Smith Radio. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/Smith Radio. Twitter handle, Smith Radio. SmithRadio.com. We're here to give you all the breaking news, keep you informed. Have a good week, folks. Good night now.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.